Welcome back to the Nullified Take, where we've got the TNT takes for you on Survivor 42. Drop the 4, keep the 2. Jake, we're back. We're going to be watching another season of Survivor CBS. This is the first time that me and you get to actually talk about Survivor CBS US. For those who are not aware of who we are, I guess we can both do a quick introduction in regards to our own fandom and what got us into Survivor. Jake, we'll start with you. Give the viewers a little bit of a view because a lot of them might not be watching International Survivor, which we're covering at the moment.
Right. Yeah. So I started watching Survivor like 4 years ago. I got surgery, like pretty major surgery. Was like bedridden for like a couple months, and I had nothing to do but watch TV pretty much. And my sister told me to watch Survivor, and I was just absolutely hooked. I watched like 3 seasons in a week, and I finished all 40 seasons at that, or however many seasons there were at that point, and I just wanted more. So I went on Reddit, and everyone was talking about Australian Survivor, like South Africa Survivor. I watched all of those, and here we are. I'm talking about it with
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
deep dive into the Survivor fandom, especially
yeah.
since you watch International Survivor as well. And you and me, we connected last year on a different podcast and we started talking about, Survivor worldwide content, a lot of talks about Survivor South Africa, Australian Survivor. I'm a super fan. So, my name's Chris. I've watched Survivor since the very first season when Richard Hatch won. Greg was my favorite that season. And a little bit of a hint there for you guys. I've been doing a lot of special content, short form videos of Survivor, and I will be bringing out one that will address who my favorite players are for each single season. So from season 1 to 10 through to 11 to 20, I will continue to do like a little bit of a tribute to those players that I really loved watching, but I'm a super fan of the show. I don't proclaim to be the strategic mastermind. I mean, I call this channel the Nullified Take because at the end of the day, we've got a take, but it doesn't really matter, Jake, because everything that we're going to be talking about, it has already happened in hindsight.
Yeah, we don't know the full story of what's going on out there. We can't really speak for what everyone was thinking and the true nature of the game.
Yeah, and I just want to welcome back some of our diehard live listeners and podcast listeners for different things here that we do on the channel. Adrian is saying, "Woo, let's get this started. The draft is going." Adrian, welcome to the live. Dolores, always so grateful to have you here. Popping in, commenting in all those videos. I always appreciate it. Dolores says, "Oh, here we go. I've reviewed the players and listened to some big talkers. This should hopefully be interesting, and we're hoping that we've got some interesting takes for you. This is the very first time that myself and Jake will be doing a draft. We've never done one together. Even in last season, I think I had most of my drafts with Riley, but I don't know what your strategy is going into this, Jake, and I think vice versa. You probably have got no idea as to what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to wait and see, I guess.
How much prep did you do?
You're gonna have to wait and see. Not
Oh,
giving
I
away
like it.
anything.
I like it. You see, this is how Jake would play if he's out there on Survivor. He would not give anything away. Well, let's get into it. Let's give the people what they're here for. We're going to go straight into a wheel spin. The wheel's got myself and Jake on it over and over. One of us will get to go first and choose which order they want to do the draft pick in. So if you win this, for instance, Jake, you can choose to either go first or second. And you can also choose, I guess, to make it fair, you can choose if you want to go first and second. The person who has to go second, they can choose if we start with a male or a female. That makes it fair, So a little bit of interesting twist there. Both of us get a little bit of power. So let's go into it and spin the wheel. We've got Dolores saying Jake comes off as a player, which she likes. I like it as well. So it looks like I am going to be the lucky person to choose if I want to go first or if I want to choose the order of if we're going to go male or female first. So what I'm going to do, Jake, is I'm going to give you the option to choose if you want to go first or second, and I will choose what your first category would be if it's male or female. So would you like to go first or second in the draft picks?
I'll go second.
Second. Okay. So I've got the draft pick set up over here, and I apologize to the players if they ever watch this. A few of you, your head got cut off in the pictures. I'm going to rectify that next time when we talk about this on our weekly recaps, because obviously we want your full face there. So I will go first. Jake will go second, and I get to choose if I'm starting with females or if I'm starting with males in this. And You know what, Jake? I have been very underwhelmed by the males this season. Like, I actually don't think that the winner of this season is going to be male. I know, very big call very early on in the season here, but because of that, I think I'm going to go with females first because I've got a specific female. I've got an eye on her. I think she's going to be a killer this season, and I want to get into that, I think, first. So let me bring this back up. And the first person here that I'm going to take off the board is going to be no one else but Jenny Kim. She's going to be my first pick for this season. And I've got a few reasons as to why I'm going to go with Miss Jenny Kim as my first pick. You know, she, for me, comes across as someone that's got extremely good energy. She seems to be someone that I would want to work with if I was out on the island, and I always make my decisions based on that to a certain degree. She's got a little bit of life experience. She's a little bit older, I guess, than some of the people that are going to be out there, which means that, you know, she's not going to be easily led astray. She's 42, and, you know, I'm hoping she doesn't get seen as the mother in the tribe when she's out there. She's a creative director. She's someone that stated that she really enjoys Kelly Wentworth's game for the tenacity. She really wants to emulate Lauren Beck because of Lauren Beck's social game. All players that I also have a lot of respect for. I think that, you know, she's someone that's got high emotional intelligence as well. You know, there's a lot of talk by this cast about emotional intelligence, and I'm a firm believer that it's something that you can't study up on a book. You either have it or you don't have it. You know, you can read about it, you can refresh yourself on it, but you either have that skill set or you just don't have it. So I've got really good vibes for her. You know, I think that she's going to go deep this season. What's your thoughts on Jenny Kim?
Yeah, I was actually very high on her as well. So I'm a bit sad that you took her. Um, but I agree that I think that her life experience is going to help her a lot because, you know, we see with like pretty much any woman like over 40 is always seen as the mother. And like we're even seeing in Australian Survivor, like Chrissy, like obviously she is a mom, but she's not even that old. Like I don't know why people are like always calling her mom. Like I don't know, it's kind of strange to me. And we saw it kind of with Julie in season 38, Edge of Extinction. She was like seen as the mom and like just kind of not taken seriously. And but I don't think that's going to be the case for her. Um, I think she comes off as really relatable and yeah, like easy to get along with. I agree with you that she seems very like someone you would want to work with in the game. So I have high hopes for her. I would be shocked if she, yeah, I agree. I would be shocked if she was taken out in the pre-merge.
Yeah, so Adrian here says that Jenny is the silent player at the pre-match, and once she gets there, she's going to be the silent assassin that nobody is going to see coming. And I agree with that. And you know, you mentioned about you know, Jenny being a bit older. Hopefully, she doesn't come across as the mom. Man, she does not look 42. She
Hmm.
looks good for her
Yeah.
age. I mean, I thought when I first looked at her, even in the videos, I thought she was like late 20s, early 30s. I think she's got a young energy about her. And I also, when I want to do my assessments for this, I want to make sure that I pick players that I think is going to relate well to others, because ultimately that's going to be important this season.
Hmm.
So we've got our first one here on the board, Jenny Kim, my first draft pick here. So this means, Jake, you're going to go and pick your first female pick next, and you're also going to get the first male pick here back to back. Who's going to be your first pick here?
Okay. I think I'm gonna go with Chanel.
Chanel. Yep.
Yep.
Damn
I
you for
think I
doing
think
that to me. She was my second pick. So tell us why you're going to go with
um
Chanel.
if I'm being honest, I I mainly picked her because I thought you were gonna pick her. So
Ah,
I was kind of trying to troll you a little bit.
and you did.
Um
You did. Well
but
done.
yeah, it's that doesn't mean I don't like her and think that she'll do well. Um I just really liked all of her interviews. Like she just seems like she knows a lot about the game, which you know we see that from kind of everyone nowadays. Now, in these new seasons, you know, everyone is quote unquote a student of the game. But I
Mm.
do think she, you know, that always doesn't hurt. and I think she's going to be able to keep it under wraps. Like people just get way too excited out there, and like want to become the next Kim Spradlin, next Boston Rob. I don't think that's going to be her. I think she's very calm and collected, and I think she'll be able to I think she'll be able to make good connections, and I also think that she, like Jenny, will she's someone I can see myself working with. And I think that she just kind of comes off as like very like respectable, I guess. Like I think if she
Mm.
makes it to the end, like even if she like doesn't really have played a really good game, I guess, very impressive, like done that much, I still think that she can be able to kind of show show herself to be like, oh yeah, I deserve this. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's just how it works in my head.
Makes sense. Dolores here in the chat says, "There you go. Player recognizes player." Jake, well done on the pick there. You definitely did troll me because she was going to be my second pick, and you probably picked up that I'm a person that loves to go off good vibes, good energy,
Mm-hmm.
people that come across as very sociable. She's one of those players again that to me comes across as very sociable, but like Adrian says here, that she's a massive orc player as well, and have participated in some orc survivor online. She's also
Mm-hmm.
studied up on the game on Reddit, and learned about game theory and where people have made flaws. Now that could be a positive or a negative thing because sometimes it could get you to overthink when you're out there on the
Mm-hmm.
island. I mean, we've
Yeah.
seen plenty of super fans not make it very deep because of that. But I do feel like she's got a good level head on her shoulders, and that she could be a very big player this season. And one of the things that really stood out for me with her, again, she's 29. I know I'm so bad. I'm such an ageist. Normally, if you're a little bit older, and not that she's old, don't come at me, Chanel, please. You just have a little bit more of a wise head on your shoulders, and you've dealt with a lot more circumstances and situations in your life. You've been out of your parents' house for long enough to know that the life can be tough at times. But she's got a role here as an executive recruiter. Now, one of the things you may or may not know about me, Jake, is that I work in the HR tech space, and our clients are recruiters, and I work with a lot of executive recruiters on a day-to-day basis. And I tell you what, to be good in that role, you have to be good at understanding people, because you're dealing with people for very high roles. They go through the recruitment process. There's things like the Great Resignation happening across the world at the moment, where people are leaving their jobs. People are pulling out last minute. So you've got to keep the client, the potential employer happy, and the potential employee, which is the candidate. So you've got to do a lot of juggling, and you have to have great people skills, and you have to be good at listening to people. So it's a sales role almost, and in a different type of way. It's a sales role without the threatening sales tag to it. So a lot of people might not realize that you need those soft skills as someone that's in that field. So I think she's going to do good. I think it's a really good pick here from you. I hate the pick that you made, but I understand why you did, because you wanted to steal her, and that's fine. That's going to happen. I'm going to have to get you back hopefully on one.
Yeah.
Who's your first guy pick?
I don't want to diss anyone because we haven't even seen anything yet from the season.
And this is a good point. This is a good point to say also, if any players do listen to this, I know you probably won't, it's a small podcast, but if you do come here and you listen to this, we can only judge you throughout this whole season and throughout all of this based on the edit that we see, based on the limited information that we see. This is not a reflection of you as a human being, and we understand that that you will act differently out there compared to what you would in real life. Like, I just want to put it out there. So Jake, you can go ahead and throw shade at anyone. This is based on what we've seen in the edit. This is not at them as human beings,
Yeah. Okay.
You're thinking really hard about this one. I'm surprised that it's taking you this long to choose
because
your first guy.
I think all of the great ones are female. I'm sorry. I think the women are good this
I agree.
season, and the
I think the
males
women are so much better than the males. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope they prove us wrong. I hope they prove us wrong.
You know what? I'm gonna go with a pick you. I'm gonna go with a pick you may not expect. I'm gonna go with Daniel.
Daniel. Okay.
He's the first one right there.
Yep. I like that pick for you. He was my second guy pick, so it's a good pick.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was reading that you were not going to be high on him, but yeah, you want me to?
Yeah, yeah. Tell us why. Why did you
Yeah,
choose Daniel?
so he kind of reminds me of myself a bit. I can tell he's a bit self-deprecating, which, someone like we've seen self-deprecating people do well on the show, like Cochran. You know, they seem to be more relatable and like people that can kind of make others feel like, oh yeah, this guy, he's just, kind of lowers their threat level. And I think he just kind of appears non-threatening, which is really good.
Mm,
You always want people to be underestimating you in this game because you can't, you can only go off physical appearance. You can't tell what's going on in people's heads. And I think this guy is smart. And he the only thing that worries me about him is that I think he I think he might need a little bit more confidence in himself because I think he said like I don't think I'm going to win this game, which is like okay, good to maybe come in with low expectations because then maybe you won't be disappointed, but you know, you want to see some people like have a bit of confidence in themselves. But here, I'll give you some confidence, Daniel. I think that you could win the game. I think you're going to be good. I think you're going to make some strong relationships. And I think that people are going to see you as a good guy. And I like you. I like you, Daniel. So you're
yeah.
my second pick.
Yeah, I like Daniel. I think it's a good pick. He was going to be my first pick for a majority of me doing my research, and then I kind of last minute changed it over to one other guy who I thought had an even better chance at winning this season if we were to go by that. But the one thing that made me concerned for Daniel, I saw one red strike for him throughout all of my research that I did, and that was him saying that he was going to be honest about his life, honest about the fact that he's been a cancer survivor. And I think that's very in life. That's great, and you should be honest, not in Survivor. Telling people that you've gone through that struggle and that you've made it, people are going to hold that against you. It's a great story when you get to the end to
Mm-hmm.
potentially win the show. I think it's a red flag. Him being too honest could be a big concern, but he is a super fan. He understands the game. He respects the greats. I mean, he's a Tony Vlachos fan who isn't, and he
Right.
seems to have good energy. He reminds me very much of Nick from David versus Goliath. Also, he's a law clerk. He comes across as this good, likable guy. Could be underestimated by people around him. I don't think Nick came in thinking that he was going to necessarily win the game or talk the big game from the start. So I can see a lot of similarities between the two of them. And to be compared to a winner, I think is a positive thing overall. And apparently, he's been on RHAP before as well for a wrap up on a Spider-Man movie. So he's rubbed shoulders with some greats.
Interesting.
So he could bring some interesting things to the show. I'm hoping for the best here from him moving forward. Now, I do believe that it's going to come back to me for my first guy pick, and I know that you're anticipating who possibly could be out there that's going to be better than Daniel at this point. And I'm going to tell you the person, and I'm going to probably completely butcher their name. But that's okay. I apologize in advance. I'm an ignorant South African living in New Zealand, and I'm not cultured enough. But I'm going to go for Hei Ching, I believe. So the Asian assassin that is playing this game, he's coming into the show as someone that is a data scientist. He reads numbers on a daily basis. He very much reminds me of Kiran from Survivor South Africa Immunity Island, who was a very big player in that season, a business analyst, strategist. I think that this guy, you give him room, you get him to mix in with the other people out there. He's going to be coming up with some great plans, and he's not going to be the 2IC to anyone out there. He's going to want to take control of his own fate in the game, and have a very strong pocket, or could even play like a very close game to like someone like Todd from Survivor China. I could see the
Mhm.
similarities even between him and Todd. He's raised in front of the TV. He watched all the seasons. Yul was his idol, similar to how he was my idol for the first 20 seasons, and I still probably rate Yul in my top 5 of all time winners out there. And I just think he's again got so much confidence. He seems to be a bit more confident about his own ability compared to someone like Daniel potentially. And I think that he could be a threat in this game. What do you think about? And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Hai Cheng this season. Do you think he's going to do well?
He is the one I am most split on because on paper he should be great, but I think he's just going to come off too threatening. I don't know why, but to me, just looking at him, he seems like a threat. Like, I don't know why, but he looks smart, he looks strong, he looks like he's likable. And, those sound like good things, obviously, but I think it's just too obvious. I don't know why, but like, that just seems like I think that he's going to be a favorite for sure, like a fan favorite. I think he's also going to be like, I think Reddit does like a winner picks there. I think he's going to get like the majority of winner picks.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know. I think so. I don't know. He just seems really smart and really cool. And
Yeah, it's like
I
kind of like if Yul, Quan, and Todd had a baby, and he came
yeah,
out, and like he's like the
yeah,
perfect mix between the two of them, right?
yeah. No, exactly. Like if he can just manage like the threat of what I mean, I'm just going off of what I see. I don't know if anyone else is going to see him like I do, but if they do, and he can just manage that, I think he could easily win the game. I think that's a great pick, but for some reason I've just got some doubts about him. I don't know. It's just what's going. I just
Yeah,
have some weird.
I'm
Yeah,
just going to pretend I didn't hear the doubts, and just
yeah,
go back him.
great pick.
He's my first guy pick. So, Adrian says because Hai and Chanel were on the same tribe, I think we could see a Ricard and Sean type of duo again. But in reverse, in my opinion, Chanel, I could see a little bit of similarities, but I didn't want to point that out. Because I didn't want to be people be thinking, Chanel's another black girl playing this season, and Chantel was one last season. That's why you're making the comparison. But I do think that Hai is going to be a little bit different to Ricard. I feel
Mhm.
like Ricard was a capable player and a really good player, but I feel like there's going to be differences between the two of them. It's
Yeah.
hard to articulate exactly what that's going to be, but I feel like, I don't know, Ricard. We didn't get to see his full social game. I feel
Mhm.
like on the show he was very calculated, but I think like Hai is going to have a very good social game with the strategic side of it. And I think that
Mhm.
Chantel last season kind of helped Ricard for a long time with the social connections within the game. And I don't think that Hai is going to have that issues personally.
Mhm.
But any case, there we go. I got the difficult name to pronounce out of the way. So for those that are joining in late here on the live picks, we've so far got 4 picks on the board, and we're doing our draft picks here for the season. I have got the next pick here for a female, and I need to get my list back up to see who I had in my third spot because I guess you've taken my second pick as well. And I just need to double check quickly and make sure that I get the right person here as well as we put this up. Yep, I've got a. So the next one for me is going to be Drea Wheeler.
Mhm.
She's going to be my second female pick here. Ultimately, she was going to be third, but obviously you took that second pick away from me. And Drea is someone as well that also gave me Chantel vibes this season as well. She's going to be a physical asset, I think, for her tribe out there. She's an athlete and a fitness owner. And that means that, when you're a fitness instructor, you kind of are like a therapist, but you're similar to how I said that, you can be an undercover recruiter, which could be a salesperson. I think a fitness person also can be an undercover therapist because think about it. A lot of people that go to get fitness and training and want to get into a better mental and physical space in life, they go there sometimes at an all-time low. They want to change things around in their life, and because of that, they trust their fitness instructor with a lot more information. And I think you have to have really good social skills. You have to get along with people that are introverted,
Mhm.
extroverted. You have to have a great communication skills and emotional intelligence as a whole. I think that She's 35, again, great life experience coming into it. She's someone that I think could be a really big threat, and she's a massive Kelly Wentworth fan. So in that sense, I'm a big Kelly Wentworth fan. I think that she's going to be threatening when it comes to playing those physical challenges. I am worried for her though, that she could stand out as a beast, but I do think that there is at least one other female that is going to be a bigger challenge beast than her. So I think that as long as she's not seen as the biggest beast out there, she could potentially get far. And also with this cast, I can see her very easily relate with a lot of people on this cast. So I think that she's going to go pretty deep.
Yeah. She was my third female pick. Yeah. I had Chanel 1, Jenny 2, Drea 3. So really like Drea. I think I agree that her occupation is going to help her, because I think it is a bit understated how like you need to have good social skills when you're like a person. Is she a personal trainer?
I believe she said that she's an owner, so she's a fitness consultant. But when
Okay.
I heard one of her videos, I think she owns the fitness center that she is the fitness consultant, and so she's like a business owner. And if so, I mean, she to me just screams bad bitch, in a good way. Like she's going to be out there,
Yeah.
like a boss lady type of thing. So I
Yeah.
think that she's either going to go deep or she's going to get taken out early because she's going to be just
Mhm.
that big of a threat. But she's not going to be anybody's 2IC or 3IC. She's going to want to be in charge.
Right. I think that, like us, I think people might see her as a bit of a bad bitch. So I think that I know I'm maybe like overthinking this a bit with High and now Drea, but I think that she might come off a bit maybe intimidating and threatening at first, but I think that she has the social skills to kind of alleviate that and make herself less threatening. Even though, I mean, just looking at her, she looks like a bad bitch. Very strong. I think she's gonna be a beast in the challenges as well. So I think that's a good pick.
Now, Dolores says, who wears a dress to an island if you're going to be stranded on it? And Dolores, I don't know if you've watched any of Kelly Wentworth's TikToks, but she had, and it probably not, because I'll be honest, I only just tipped my toes into TikTok. Like I'm late to the game as well when it comes to
Me
that, and it's
too.
intimidating getting new social media platforms and following it, but it can be quite funny, and you can follow some of your Survivor players on there. She's actually addressed this quite a few times, and I'm very aware of that the players do not get to choose the clothes that they wear. The production team tells them what they're going to wear when they go out there. And there's actually been a lot of complaints in the past from female players specifically saying that they don't get to have like coats or warm clothes because the producers wants them to be in bathing suits and look good on the show. And there's a lot of complaints that in the past have come out about an unfair advantage to men on the show because of that, because the females would be out there cold at night because they don't have enough clothes. So I know they've changed that a lot now, and that they do allow them to have more clothes, I think, but well, still one pair, but the production is very heavily involved in what they wear out there in any case. All right. So we've got my female pick out of the way. So we're back to you now, Jake, as a part of the snake draft, and you're going to do the next female pick. Who is it going to be?
All right. I think I'm going to go with Lindsay.
She was my next pick, so good
I
pick there.
knew it. I knew it.
It's this one here, right? Just want to make sure. Yeah, it's
Yep.
Lindsay.
Yep, that's her.
Good pick. Tell us why.
Yeah. This one's a bit harder to explain. It's when I just was watching some of the videos. I didn't watch all of them.
Yeah,
But
it's
hers, I
tough. It's
just
a lot.
she just has a lot to say, I think is one thing. She's very talkative, and I think that might be a negative, but I personally really like people that you can just like kind of keep on talking to. Like, some might see that as like, oh my gosh, like, okay, just shut up already. But I really like it, and I think that will allow her to be able to make some good relationships of just like she always has something to talk about. And out there in Survivor, I know it's not so much now that it's 26 days, but there's a lot of downtime between like we only see like the big things that happen on the show, but there's a lot of downtime where you just have nothing to do but talk or sit by yourself. And people may want to sit by themselves, but personally, I would want to talk to someone about the strategy, about personal lives. So I really like that she has a lot to say. I think like in the video that I watched, they asked them a question, and like some of the others had like maybe like 10-second responses, but she
And
went on
hers
for
was
like
long.
yeah, she went on for like 2 minutes, like expanding and expanding and expanding and like linking it to something else. And I'm like, it reminds me of myself. I feel like I can maybe sometimes have a bit too much to say, so maybe I'm a bit biased, but I really like her. I think she's going to be a beast in the challenges. I read that yeah, she played football as a when she was younger, which is really cool. That she's a female and that played football. Like, that's pretty tough. Hope they didn't go easier on her. I'm sure they didn't, but I think she's gonna be. I think she's gonna be a beast, and she might come off as a bit, like I said, a bit too talkative. But I personally would like that in an ally that you can just keep on talking to. So
I agree, man. Like, I mean, well, I guess the show's a lot shorter now, only 26 days, but still, you're out there for endless of times during the day, sitting on the beach with nothing else to do. So you
mhm.
want someone you could talk to or who entertains you when you're out there. I think likability is a really big thing. I'm a little bit more 50-50 on how likable she's going to be. I think she's going to be on that thin line between being annoying and being likable.
Yeah.
And it's just based off the videos I've seen. Obviously, Lindsay, I don't know you outside of the game, and I mean, you look like a great person, and I'm
Mhm.
sure you're great outside of the game. It's just what I've seen, and I think it's interesting that Adrian or who was it in the chat here that brought up that it was Adrian that said that Lindsay is either going to be a young Jerry or a Nora or a Natalie Anderson. And what a combination of three previous survivors to put together there, because they're all very different in their own way.
They
I
are.
actually think out of those three, she reminds me the most of Jerry. And it will
Mhm.
be interesting to see
Yeah.
if she is a Jerry when she's out there on the show and if she can find her Colby to annoy. But, I think that'll be very interesting to see play out. She's a dietitian, so clearly in great physical shape. When I said that, the previous pick that I made, there was one female that for me was a bigger physical threat. That was definitely going to be Lindsay, and I think that with Lindsay, she could be that physical threat that you're either going to want to keep her in the game because she's going to help you get to the end, or you're going to be taken out. But a lot of the times, the physical threats when they are female, they're not seen as big of a threat as they probably should. It's normally only the big male alpha guys that get seen as this threat before the merge, and then a lot of challenges towards the post merge phase of the game, it actually does benefit strong women. So I could very easily see Lindsay go very very deep here in the game. She's also a very big fan of Lauren Beck, who isn't. She played a very good social game, and I think that will make her aware that if she's got a strong guy that she's aligning with here in the game, that she will need to take that move and make that move rather sooner than later so that she doesn't end up in the same spot that Lauren did in her season. So I do like Lindsay. I think it's a good pick from you there. And I believe we're going back to you now for your next guy pick. Who's going to be your next guy pick? And I'm shocked that for the women, we've gone toe for toe. We've had the same strong
Mhm.
females in mind in regards to who we think is gonna do well this season. Very
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah. I think they're good. I think the females this season are good, and I think
Yeah.
everyone can kind of agree on that, which is good to see. So just to make sure, we're only doing 5 picks each, right?
So no, we're gonna go through. We're gonna pick everybody that is in the season.
Oh, I
I
see.
think it's
Okay.
equal. It's equal numbers. It's 18. So we both will end up
Yeah.
with 9. Maybe one of
Okay.
us will end up with one more guy or female. We'll see how it works out at the end. I didn't really think it through. It's how we do it on this
No, I
podcast. We
think it
just
should be fine if we're each.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see.
So you've got a few people still left in the game. While you're thinking, I think that Dolores brings up an interesting point here, saying that Lindsay, I get concerned because she really liked the way Boston Rob played, and I did do a reaction video to some of the videos that dropped on Entertainment Weekly, and I kind of mentioned it when they started talking about previous Survivor players they really liked, and I said, Boston Rob, legend of the game, you have to respect the legend. He's definitely in the Mount Rushmore. He's definitely in the top echelon of Survivor players, but the game has moved on so much now that even though some of that advice may have been good back in the day, these days it's maybe not as accurate as it used to be because the game has evolved a lot in any case. But Jake, coming back to you there, I hope I gave you enough time to think about who you're going to have as your next guy pick. I know the guys are tough, but
Yeah.
who do you have coming in as your second guy pick here for the season?
Yeah, I think I'll go with Mike.
Mike Turner. Okay.
Yes.
This is the first time that me and you are very different on our picks because Mike Turner was my last pick for the guys. So I'm really interested to
Wow,
see
really?
why you're picking
Okay.
him this early. Yeah.
Well, okay. So I think he has a certain appearance. Obviously, he's a retired firefighter, so maybe he may come off a bit tough. But I think on the inside he's a bit of a softie. He
He did
says
like
that
Ty.
yes, that was kind of what made me like kind of turn on him, which sounds kind of dumb because it's just like, okay, well, anyone could have any favorite player, but I don't know, just like it's I really like Ty as well. I mean, who
Yeah,
doesn't? But
same.
like to say that he's their favorite player, I don't know, that says a lot. And I think if you admire the kind of person Ty is, and I think that he kind of says like, he kind of wishes that he was more like him. And I just think he's a bit more of a softie, and I think that I don't think he's going to be the greatest strategic player, but I think he's no dummy, and I think that it may be hard for him at first to make some relationships, but I think that people might see him as kind of the sweet older guy, which he's not even that old, but relatively when we're talking Survivor. Um, and I think that I think he'll just be well respected. But I agree that he's a wild card. I think that he could flame out pretty early. But
But you know what, Jake? The difference between genius and complete flop out is a very, very thin line, And if you looked at someone like Tony Vlachos in his first season, when people looked at him, even coming into Winners of War, I'm pretty sure he was the last person drafted for very obvious reasons
yeah,
coming back into that
hmm
season, and he ended up going all the way and winning it. And I can see someone like a Mike surprising us. Like, I mean, I had him low definitely for my picks. And the reasons you kind of mentioned a few of the reasons. I think he's an older guy, comes from a different generation, was a firefighter, 58 years old. Boston Rob is his favorite player, even though he really enjoyed Ty and he wants to play similar to Ty because Ty had this loving side to him. And that shows that there's some depth to Mike as a player. But, him being a big Boston Rob fan, being big about being a beast in the challenges and a worker at camp, somebody that's going to, make sure that the camp is in a good spot. I feel like that's Survivor back in the 2000s, and Survivor has moved so far since then that I'm really worried for him when it comes to the strategic part of the game, and also just from a point like, can he relate to these younger players that are out there that are looking at this game so differently now, and there's a diversity in cast, not just in the ethnicity of the players that are playing, but also a diversity in thought. People are thinking differently about things now compared to what they did when he was in his 20s. So can he relate to them? But I can also see if he finds that sweet spot and he becomes like a Terry Deeds, who's almost like a father figure out there to a few of the younger players, and people really see him as a leader in a positive way, and he's not coming across as forceful, he could go deep. I just didn't want to take a gamble on him, be honest, this early on. And I was very 50-50 on where I would put him, and ultimately I put him at the bottom. I may have been a bit tough on him, to be honest. I don't know where he's gonna end up on, but I mean, time will tell who is right here when it comes to it.
Yeah, he's. I see in the chat, Adrian is saying that he gives them a bit of Tom Laidlaw vibes from Island of the Idols, which I actually that is a pretty good comparison in my opinion. And Tom didn't do too well on his season, but you never know. I mean, it's a different game now from it was 3 seasons ago. I
Yeah.
think that the smaller tribes are pretty interesting because let me see. Do we know the starting tribes? Yeah, we do.
We do.
Who is
It's on the Survivor wiki page, and I haven't taken any of that into consideration when I've chosen my teams. I probably should have, but I just looked at them individually because there's always a chance. I guess there's less of a likelihood of a tribe swap if we're going to be following the format that we had last season. But I just wanted to vote for the people who I thought would be good. So he's in green. So he's with
this is
Lydia, Jenny,
look at
Hi,
this. He's
Chanel.
the three top guys are all on that tribe.
Yeah.
Daniel, Hi, and Mike.
Yeah,
I
we
know he
probably should
was.
have taken this into consideration, right? Before we went and
I
won.
am
We put
now
all our eggs in one
realizing
basket.
because if this is anything like 41, there's going to be no tribe swap.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Not all of them can make it unless they beast it out. Like, who's the tribe
unless
that
they're
didn't
like
lose last season?
Luvu, yeah, if they're the
Yeah.
next Luvu. But
And they could be.
yeah,
They've got some good competitors there. I mean,
and
who
we've
knows?
picked everyone from green except for Lydia.
Man, how much are we going to be upset when Green goes to tribal
Oh
council like week after
no,
week?
this is
You know what?
bad.
And the worst thing of all is like this goes against everything in my body when it comes to investing because it's always about diversifying your stocks,
Yeah.
and we've put all our stocks in the green basket here.
Oh God. Okay.
That's okay. I'm just going to
Lydia,
continue to be
sorry.
ignorant.
Sorry, Lydia. You're probably gonna be the last pick now because we're just not gonna even want to touch the green sharp anymore. But all
All
right.
right, so I'm back on to the next guy pick, and I apologize, I didn't get the best pick with his face being cut off there, but it's going to be Rockroy. He's
Hmm.
going to be my next pick. I really, really like Rockroy. Now, obviously, he's a bit older as well. He's a stay-at-home dad. He's mentioned about having a lot of patience, dealing with kids at home, being able to go out there. He's hoping that he can play a game similar to John Cochran, which to me is very interesting because hot take here between me and you, I've never been a John Cochran fan at all. And it's not because of the archetype. And I don't I'm sure he's a great guy, super nice guy. I just couldn't relate to him, couldn't get behind him. I've liked other people that would I would see him closer to, if he's seeing himself as this nerdy type of guy, he's probably closer to a Davey who I loved, or
Hmm.
I like
Hmm.
Christian Hubicki. So it's not that I don't like that archetype. I just always struggle to get behind John Cochran because I think it's because Jeff tried to shove him down our throat
Yep.
so much and he tried to
Yeah.
sell him. So, like, if he didn't do half the selling he did on John Cochran, I would have probably liked him a lot more. But I struggled to, the force feeding that he was doing, that just didn't
Hmm.
didn't translate well for me. And we'll see how this plays out with Rockroy here. And what tribe is Rockroy? I'm just going to have a quick look. So finally, we get someone from the blue tribe. In that tribe there, he's going to be with Romeo, Swati, Tori, Zach, and Drea. I think him and Drea could get along really well. He's going to be
Hmm.
43, a little bit older on that tribe as well. So, they're going to need someone that brings a little bit of that dad energy, a little bit of leadership and calmness to the tribe. So I think that could be something that's going to help him a lot in the game. And the big thing with him as well is that he is a big fan. He has watched all of the seasons, So again, I feel like he knows what he's getting himself into. The one thing that made me fearful on him, Jake, is that he also spoke about being that provider at camp. If he's going to catch
Yeah.
fish, if he's going to do all these things, people are going to keep him in the game. And you and me, we know that the game has moved on from that. It's not about being a provider anymore. But at least I think he's got a strategic side to him as well. So if he can combine the two, I'm very hopeful for what that could mean for Rockroy and where he ends up in this game.
Yeah. My last pick, I was actually debating between Mike and Roxroy. I know that I just decided to kind of take a chance on Mike, but come back to bite me. But who knows? This is just for fun. So
Yeah.
let's see. Roxroy. I like that he's a stay-at-home dad. Have we ever seen a stay-at-home dad or someone that has been like advertised as a stay-at-home dad? I'm not sure, but so that's pretty cool. But that's not really like I think what makes him someone that I was kind of looking at for the Ben. I do like that he's a bit older, bit more life experience. It is pretty interesting that he wants to play the game most like Cochrane. Um, but I think let's see his reasoning. He said he understood his weaknesses the second time around, and it strengthened him to compete and win. So that is a pretty good reason. It's not just saying like, "Oh, I'm also a nerd, so I want to play like," it's a bit more than that. He actually likes the strategy of Cochran, which I do think Cochran's a good player, maybe a bit overrated by some people like Jeff, but Cochran's great. And I do think it's pretty interesting that he kind of saw himself as a nerd growing up. He doesn't really give off that vibe to me at first. But yes, so what Adrian is saying, so there's a guy, I'm sure you've heard of him, Chris. His name is Redmond. He
Yes.
releases the cast every year, months before CBS like officially releases it. And every season since like I think Game Changers or Millennials Gen X or something, he's been releasing the cast, and it'll show like a picture of them that he found with all of their names, and he could not find a picture of Roxroy. He could not find anything. It's because he has no social media. He's like kind of untraceable. He's off the grid, which is pretty
I like it.
interesting. I like it too.
He's a
That's
true OG. He's a true OG. You know,
yeah,
staying off the grid. You know, if I
yeah,
probably shouldn't be joking about everything going around now, but you know, if there's any cyber warfare, then he's not going to be in any problems or any trouble at the moment. But
yeah.
Dolores here says that the reason he joined the tribe is because his wife told him to get off the couch. Proof that you can do it better.
That's pretty cool. You know, he's probably like us. You know, just kind of sitting on his
Armchair
ass.
critic.
Yeah, exactly. He's the couch potato. It's kind of like Sari, you know, saying, "Oh, I could do that," while like shoving potato chips down his throat. Um, you know, his wife was like, "Well, then go do it if you're so good." I like that
Yeah.
because, yeah, and he's like, "Okay, I will," and
All
now
right.
hopefully he doesn't.
I believe I'm next here. I think I'm going to do another female pick
Hmm.
next in the game, and just want to have a quick look at who's still available on the board here. I've kind of held off from picking this girl, and I didn't want to be the person to pick her because I don't know how she's going to go, but I also feel like picking her any lower than this isn't a good thing. So I'm going to go with Tori for my next pick.
Yeah.
And I'm very worried for Tori and how she's going to go this season. And the reason for it being is she's the only blonde girl out there. Let's be honest, that's going to stand out like crazy. And
Yeah.
people, like even the women out there, might be looking at her as a threat because she could potentially be the pretty blonde girl that could
Mm.
persuade guys to do things for her and, you know, do a poverty type of strategy and seduce people to do things her way. I did feel like in the videos when she spoke about the fact that she's a therapist, that is going to help her so much because, you know, people tell her their secrets every single day. And I was like, of course they do, Tori. They pay you to do that. If you're paying someone to tell your secrets to them and get advice from, you know that there's an NDA. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're going to tell them everything. But Survivor, these people are not paying to get your advice. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as she thinks it's going to be out there to get this advice from her tribe or get some insights as well. But I mean, the thing with her, you've got to respect that she's 25 years old. You know, she's watched this game from a very young age. I believe she was the one who said that. I can't remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, that she met Jonathan Penner when she was
Hmm.
like 11,
Yep.
and she was at an
She was.
airport and saw Jonathan Penner, and she was a fan back then, and got to meet him. Such a crazy experience, and now she's a player similar to Jonathan Penner. That's so cool to see, and she's a
Yeah.
massive Kim Stradling fan. I mean, who isn't? You know, a strong woman that played a very good strategic and social game. If she's got any of that strategic chop, she'll do really well this season. I am worried for her because she's going to stand out this season. That's the problem because
Mhm.
she's a good-looking girl. She is in good shape. I don't know if I don't know where she's going to fit in with the other women. That's my biggest fear. But
Mhm.
I think if she can get in with the guys, get a bit of an onion layer around her and strategize, she's got all of the makeup and characteristics of someone that's going to go very deep this season. So she's my wild card, picking her in this spot at the moment. What do you think of Tori?
You know, I don't really have much to say about her other than I was probably going to pick her next. And there's really not a lot I can say is that I do think that she has some potential, but that is an interesting point you bring up that she might kind of stand out. I didn't really think about that, but it's an interesting thing to think about. And I think really all I can say is that I just think I kind of like the other females better that I've already kind of gone after. But I was probably going to pick her if you hadn't. So
Yeah, so Adrian says that Tori has played in an all called Sequester before and she got sixth place. I actually know about Sequester. I haven't watched all of the seasons. To be honest, Sequester for me, a lot of the times, it's too game heavy and not personality heavy enough. I really enjoyed the personality
Hmm.
moment, seeing people socialize, that type of stuff. So I really struggle to watch Sequester, but I know that it's very popular online. And her having been out there playing in such a season against others that, is about strategy and voting people out and things like that, she may have a little bit more of an advantage than what we give her credit for coming into the season, being a little bit more game ready.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting. Dolores says her tribe, she has three guys, so it's Roxroy will take care of her like a father, and that's another good thing, I guess, for her, because I mentioned that she might struggle to fit in with some of the girls here. But let's have a quick look at the blue tribe here. She is with Swati, Romeo, Roxroy, and Zach. So not a bad position for her to be in if she can get in with the guys. Yeah, it would be interesting. I don't want to comment too much because there might be some other players still up for grabs,
Is there
and how we're
another?
going to be.
Is there
No, I
another
think it's
person on the tribe, or
yeah,
yes?
sorry. There we go, Drea. And Drea's going to be strong, so hopefully
Mhm.
they get a connection going. I'm it's six each tribe, so yeah, so it should be interesting. Should
Yeah.
be interesting to see where this ends up. But going back to you here for the draft picks, I believe you're going to be doing the next female pick.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's see. There's four left. Okay, I think I'll go with Marianne.
Mary Ann. Okay, Mary Ann, Mary Ann. Which one is that again? Is this one here, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Tell us about Mary Ann. Why did you go for Mary Ann?
She just has a good energy to her. I think she's just like she just seems really fun. And I think that I know you and I are very agreeable on the fact that we are looking at players that we can see ourselves being allies with.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a random thing to like be basing it off of, but I think in the very first preview that we saw of 42 was on finale night of 41. We saw, and there was like this shot of Omar and Marianne like looking at each other, and I don't know, it just looks so like I think
Great
that
facial expressions. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, and just like I mean, that could be foreshadowing to. Let's see, she's starting on the same tribe as Omar. Yes, she is. So I, this one is more of like I just really like her, which obviously I've liked everyone so far, but I think she's just going to be really fun, and I think she'll be able to. Looking at her tribe, she's got Jackson, Jonathan, Lindsay, Maria, and Omar. I think that she's already in a great position on that tribe. I think that she would is just going to fit in well with those people, and I think that she also. Let's see, how old is she? 23.
She's 24. 24
Uh,
now, probably 23 at the time of the game, maybe.
yes, 23 at the time of the game. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I just think that she's going to be really fun.
Yeah, so I really like her,
Yeah.
I just got good vibes from her, and I'm a
Hmm.
very big good vibes person. She looks to have such a great personality, so positive, like I would need someone when I'm waking up at day 17 without any food to
Hmm.
look at and just look into that beautiful smile she has to give me that energy to go, yes, I can do it. I can keep going. If she's going, I'm going because she's my girl, that type of person. And I think
Yeah.
she would be that. I think she would be a really great alliance member to have. And what I liked about his story, and obviously being an immigrant myself to New Zealand, for those who've never watched any of my content, I'm from South Africa originally. I know what it feels like to immigrate from one country to another country and the struggles that you have to go through. And her parents went through that to move to Canada. And it was a really funny moment in one of the videos that I watched where she said her parents told her, hey, if you want to, if you want to tough it out, if you want to know what it's like to survive, we'll just take you back to the village we're from back in Africa, or I think it was Africa in any case. And you can do that. And her mother couldn't understand why she wanted to play this game like Survivor. Her favorite player is Davey. I love
Mm.
Davey.
Yeah. Love
She's
Davey.
she's into video games, tabletop games. She's just got a lot of similarities. She
Hmm.
looks like a girl I could have conversations with. And
Yeah.
I think if I was out there, I would be playing with her. So I think it's a
Yeah.
good pick. I think she was It was between her and another girl for me for this next pick. So I'm semi gutted you took her, but I've got another backup in any case at this stage. It was between there's two of them that I kind of look at as almost the same, but you may have gotten the better one of the two. Who knows? The season will have to tell us.
Yep.
Okay, so next one for you is going to be the guys. So who do you go for here as we start getting into the pointy end of the game for the next guy pick?
Yeah, so
So Adrian, just while you're thinking there, Adrian says she said Kenya. So that's good to know. The good thing for her is she's religious, like her other tribe mate, and Taku, and her and Omar are both Canadians, so they have to pair up. Yeah, those things are going to be big. Like if you've got another Canadian out there, can Canada go two for in this last two seasons? Can that happen?
Yeah, that would be 2 Canadian females, perhaps.
Yeah, would that set up a Canada versus USA season then somewhere in the future?
I'm honestly shocked they haven't done that. I thought 41 was good. Excuse me. I thought 41 was going to be that. Honestly, when I heard that, except I think that they did have. I think Tom was Canadian on Island of the
he was the
Isles.
first. He was the first Canadian,
and he was the only one on that season. So, and then obviously 40 was Winners at War, so no one had been Canadian at that point. I'm surprised they didn't do it for 41, but that would be cool to see Canada just kind of embarrass the Americans going 2 for 0 already. Let's see. For my next pick, I think I'll go with Zach.
Zach. All right. Tell us what you like about Zach as your next pick here for the guys.
So Zach, he reminds me of myself. And he also reminds me of Adam Klein.
I see that.
Which I think that's kind of an obvious comparison, just I don't know, just kind of the way about them. But I really like him. He also is a pizza delivery boy. I used to deliver pizza, which is
pizza delivery boys rise. you gotta
stick together. We got to stick together. Exactly. I think he's really funny. I've been looking at his social media. He just seems I think he's in a comedy club at his university, which I am as well. I also am we write sketches and stuff and perform them, which is really fun. So I just kind of know the type of people that like to do that stuff. And I think they're pretty hit or miss with how I think they would do in Survivor. It's funny. I kind of think about this stuff when I'm looking at people that I interact with. I'm like, how would they do in Survivor? So I kind of already thought about this.
And you look at me every time, Zach, and you're like, Jake, you look at me and you're like, oh, Chris, man, pre-merge boot every single time.
Yikes.
He'll talk too much. That guy's out.
First boot, he's always wanted to talk about Survivor every single week. Just give it a rest. No, but I really like him. He actually follows me on Instagram, so that's just my bio.
Yeah, apparently, apparently idolizes Adam Klein. And for me, I see the Adam Klein resemblance a little bit, but I'm glad to hear that you say he's got that comedy side to him. He's part of a comedy club. I didn't know that at all. I don't follow him on the socials and anything like that. I was a little bit fearful that he came across as a little bit more nerdy compared to Adam. Adam is a nerd, but he's got some real good social skills to him, and he's really jokey, and he's got self-deprecating humor, and I think that sort of endears him to a lot of people out there. I was worried that Zach would take himself a little bit too seriously, and I know a lot of US people watching this have never seen any Australian Survivor, but he actually reminds me a lot of Baden from Champions versus Contenders 2. I got very strong Baden vibes from him, and we won't talk about placements or anything like that, but Baden was a pretty good socially aware sort of player, but he was a bit more of an introvert. If Zach is in comedy club, maybe he's a little bit more of an extrovert. So I might have had my read incorrectly on him. Zach would have been not my next guy pick, but the pick after that. So it's still a good pick for you at this stage. I think it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, you didn't do your research, man. Should have known.
Yeah, I might lose out.
Should have known he was in a comedy club. You're missing out here. But yeah, no, I know that you do need to have good, at least somewhat good social skills. You have to communicate with your club members, and like to create a sketch, like you can't just like, well, you can like create one all on your own and then just, do it, but you want to take like advice from others and like talk about it and like, work as a team, and you got to have social skills for that. And so I think he's going to do well, but I do worry about maybe how he's going to do in the challenges. He is a bit skinny. Don't want to,
Yeah.
judge a book by its cover too much, but that's kind of all we can go off of right now. So,
Is it just me, or did we start on the green tribe and now we're just going down the list on the blue tribe?
are we doing that now?
I feel like we're just going down the list, and my next pick is going to
Oh
be
my gosh.
my next pick is going to be from the blue tribe. So like, have a look at this. We've
Oh
got
my gosh.
Tori, we've got Zach, we've got Rox Roy, we've got Dre
Drea.
already picked. So a lot like we're really shading. I mean, you did pick Marianne, but I feel like we're still shading a lot of
We
Taku
are
at this stage.
shading. We're shading
And
Taku a lot.
and we're gonna have egg on our face by the end of the season, because obviously we've got no spoilers. We don't know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen, and they could be the most dominant tribe out there.
Oh
And we
my
just don't
gosh,
know it.
yeah.
And I'm gonna go down this list because the next pick for me that I'm gonna go for is gonna be Romeo.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be my next guy that I'm very happy to grab Romeo at this stage still, and that he's still available for us to be able to pick him, because to me he looks like a true contender. He's 37. He's a little bit skinny, I can see, but I think he's got some athletic ability to him. The thing that stands out to me, Jake, and why I think Romeo could be a contender this season is he's a pageant coach. So he's surrounded by high maintenance females all day. That he needs to keep them calm. He needs to get the timelines done. So he's used to dealing with a lot of different personalities. We've always heard that the pageant game is Survivor 101. People are backstabbing each other, so he's got to navigate those waters in the pageant world. So I think that he's going to come across as very likable. People are going to really enjoy having him around. Again, as I go off good feelings and who would I want to play this game. He loves the legends of the game. He's a big Sandra fan, obviously, because she was the first Latina to win the game. Sari, Parvati, Rupert, and Rob, all players that he likes. There's a lot of old school players, but he does seem to be a student who have kept up to date with where the game's going right now. He thinks that people is going to underestimate him since he is a small man and he's a gay Latino. And I think he could be right. I think that there's a good chance he could be the Ricardo of this season. And I would not be surprised if he's that underdog guy that plays a very, very big game. So I'm really a fan of potentially Romeo, and I'm happy to sort of pick him at this place. I think he could be a bit of a blue chip stock for me coming in so late.
I think that's a great pick. He was going to be my next guy had you not taken him. But it is interesting. We talked about this with Jenny. Jenny does not seem 42. Romeo, in my opinion, I don't think he seems 37.
No, he looks 24.
Yeah, I know it. I know that like 37 is not that old at all, but we're talking relative to Survivor here. The oldest oldest people we usually see are like 50 max, and I don't know. I just don't think he looks 37, but that's good. He's been. I don't know if he says. In his like Survivor Wiki bio, but I think I saw that in one of the videos he talked about how he like grew up in like the ghetto, and
okay,
and he was like he's gay, and that's like
frowned upon over there.
Frowned upon, right? Yeah, and so that was something he had to go through, which is really hard, and I commend him for that. And so I just think he's a hard worker. I think he's gonna. I know that he looks a bit skinny, but I have a bit of confidence in him that he'll do fairly well in the challenges. So yeah, I do think that him being a pageant coach is actually probably going to translate pretty well. So
yeah, and apparently Tori seems to just be all over the place. Like, I mean, she's played in the game, so she might be able to connect with Zach because she's been in Sequester, and he might know her from that. It could count against her, by the way. We, in Survivor South Africa, saw someone who won an online org game get targeted for the fact that that they were such a dominant player in a different game last season. And we won't name the names here because I don't want to spoil it to anybody that may go and watch that at some point. But that could count against someone like Tori as well. But apparently she was also in the pageant world, which I can see. And that maybe would mean that Romeo and her have got something else to connect on there on that tribe. But I think it's interesting. They do have a tribe with less muscular guys in it. So, how are they going to do in the challenges if the challenges are quite physical? Luckily, in Survivor US, there is a balance to challenges. It's not like Australian Survivor where it's all about brawn.
Yeah.
So I think they do have a chance.
Yeah, for sure. This isn't Australian Survivor where he'd probably be in a worse position. I'm sorry, my dog's being.
All right. Well, I'm going to stay true to the trend here. And I could mix it up. I should be diversifying my stocks and picking another player, tribes. But I'm probably going to hate myself for doing this at the end of the season. But I have to go with who I think individually made an impression on me, and I'm going to go with Swati for this next pick here on the teams. She's 19. Youngest player coming into this season. So that in itself is going to be a challenge for her. I think that when you're a young player playing this game, you have a problem in the sense that people always think of you as the kid. They think of you as someone that needs to be helped or guided through the game, and you don't necessarily garner the type of respect that you would like to get, so that when you get to the end of the game, you actually have a realistic shot at winning the game, because people ultimately have to respect you as a player, and I think that she could fight against that perception here. But a couple of things that I like about her, again, the story of her parents being from India, first generation migrant. She grew up in that. I can relate to it. She's an Army National Guard. She's been in the Army, so clearly she's struggled and survived and suffered before, so she's got a little bit of toughness to her, even though she's still so young. She said that the Army reflected the values of what her parents taught her very well, so I think she's going to be an old school soul in a young body out there playing the game, so she may really get along with some of the older people in her tribe, and they might take her under her wing. She's got great energy, very excited, someone that I want to see play the game. Her strategy is undefined. She wants to play, she said, I don't have a specific strategy coming in. I just want to be a little bit under the radar in the beginning, play it safe, and then take charge of the game later on. But she doesn't think she's going to play a game like anybody else. And I think that when you're that aware, that it's very difficult to replicate, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to play like X, I'm going to play like Y. I think going in with that mindset's the wrong mindset. And I think for a young woman coming into this game, she's got an open, like a very wise head on her shoulders, and she's open to playing the game that is required ahead of her, which are all good signs in my opinion. So I think Swati could be another person that could do really well. I might hate the fact that I've got so many blue people in my tribe, but I have to stick true to how I saw it when I watched the videos coming into this.
Yeah, I might be underrating her, but there's just something off about her with me. I think she is extremely smart, but I think she thinks of herself a bit too smart. I think
interesting.
I don't think I'm not saying that she's like, arrogant or anything. She seems like a really nice girl, but just the fact that she's young, it just doesn't look too well. I mean, we haven't seen like someone that young win yet, and especially recently we've seen a bit older people win, but yeah, I think that I don't know, I just get the feeling that she's got a tough road again. Yeah, I think she lacks a bit of self-awareness.
Yeah. So Adrian says, honestly, looking at her, she said she's going to do this, that she does look 19 to me, and she said she's going to age up to 20. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that she's a wild card pick for sure. Mm-hmm. We've never had a 19-year-old win the game, but records are meant to be broken, and why can't it be Swati? Why can't she be the great game player that goes out there and does really well? Like Adrian said, she's played in an org similar to Chanel. She's finished 4th place before, so she's got a little bit of an experience. Like, I don't think orgs necessarily translates as well into the game of Survivor, because you're having to be out there 24/7 living with these people. It's a different sort of thing compared to just jumping on for 2 or 3 hours a day on a video call and strategizing and doing challenges in isolation in your own house. I don't think that orgs necessarily translates well to the game of Survivor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I've won 2 orgs, so I
I
mean,
wouldn't put it out there,
I
Jake.
am
I
I
wouldn't put
gonna
it out there.
be Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, shouldn't have said that.
I, it's why I
I
don't
know
play
I
orgs. I don't even want to play orgs. I don't want to even put that out there, just in case I ever do end up on Survivor. People will be like, "Oh no, Chris, this is the type of player he's going to be."
Yeah, which, by the way, that reminds me, you need to tell me after this who the one on South Africa was that
Yeah, I will. Yeah, people know.
because
People know.
I
But
did not
I'll
know
let you
that.
know.
I
Yeah, so
did
there's
not
this
know that.
person won in a very dominant fashion, one of the biggest orgs in South Africa, and then struggled when they were in the last season of Survivor South Africa because it came out. There were other people who knew about it, and it was a part of
Wow.
the. So I don't know if it made the TV show, but people ultimately targeted them because they knew that they were a good game player,
And
and
this was
they
in
just didn't get
Immunity Island?
Immunity Island. Yep, yep. So I'll talk to you about this offline. I don't
Hmm.
want to spoil it for people that I know Americans might never go and watch Survivor South Africa, but just in case they do,
Yeah,
because some of these seasons are making it to Paramount Plus these days, so
right.
you don't want to spoil it for people if they do want to watch it. But in any case, back to this season, we've got Swati as my next pick here. This is where we're sitting at the moment with the picks, and we've got 2 females left on the board. And 3 guys left on the board. We're going to have uneven numbers here going into the end. So I'll open it up. I'll be generous. You can pick any male or any female moving forward as we go to the end of this. So we can mix it up a little bit because it's late in the game. I don't feel like, I mean, famously, we've made some picks in the past in other podcasts where we pick people quite late and then they end up doing extremely well and nearly winning the season. So I mean, there could still be the winner, could still be out there. I mean, me and you don't know anything. So, but I'm going to
Mhm.
open it up. You can choose whoever you want who's left on the board.
Anyone. Okay. That actually doesn't really change much for me. I think I'm gonna go with Lydia.
You're going to go with Lydia
Yeah.
for the next one. And she's the actor slash bartender on this season. So what do you
Yep.
like about Lydia?
Um, I think that let's see. Let me pull up her. See, I kind of did some research on kind of the people I was gonna pick
So I can tell you
earlier.
what I liked about her if you're thinking about it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Lydia
Yeah. Let
Lydia
me
was
see.
my second last pick for the season. It doesn't sound like I like her, but
Mhm.
it's not anything. I mean, I'm having to weigh her up against a lot of people here coming into this. The one thing I'm worried about with Lydia is, will she fit in with the other people there, and physically will she keep up with the others in the challenges? Is my biggest concern for her. But she's someone that talks about the fact that she's not going to let people know she's an actress, because that could be seen as a threat. Like if you look at Australian Survivor, actresses have done pretty well in the past,
Mhm.
and it could be a little bit of a superpower because you can fake empathy and you can fake caring about people and things like that while you're out there. I mean, that's literally what actresses have to do on a
Yeah.
daily basis. And also, I think as an actress, you need to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, which is literally what Survivor is about, right? What is this other person's best move? What's going to be in their interest? Can I take myself out of my position and put myself in their shoes at this point? And I think somebody that does acting, they probably have that skill set. She has grown up with a family who've watched the show for years and years, so she knows the game really well. She's got great energy. I mean, I think that I would love to be friends with Lydia because I think
Mhm.
that I'm a
Yeah.
talker, she's a talker. We would be sitting down and having a conversation for hours and hours. And we've spoken about how necessary it is to have likable people out there that you're suffering with when you're playing this game. She likes players like Tom Westman, Sari, and Debbie. She said that she would like to play like some of those players, which is interesting because they're all three are very different. I guess Tom and
Mhm.
Sari is a little bit the closest to each other, but Debbie, like I love Debbie, but I don't want to play like Debbie. Like, let's
Yeah.
be honest, she's a bit of a
Yeah.
wild card out there. But I think she could be interesting. I think she could be an interesting watch this season. I just don't know how she's going to fit in and if she's going to contribute enough in the challenges to stay around for long enough. That's my worry for her.
Yeah, I know. Looking at her tribe, I think she might be in a bit of trouble if they lose early on. Yeah. I've got the two we've got the two top females on her tribe, Jenny and Chanel. So that would be tough if her tribe were to lose. That is, yes, see what Adrian is saying. That intrigued me when I read that she wants to play like Tom Westman. I think that shows that she's very cultured. She knows about Tom Westman. I mean, Tom Westman's great, and I
Yeah,
think that
he doesn't get enough love. Does not get enough love.
absolutely not, absolutely not.
Yeah.
He's great, and I think she's really funny just from what I've seen from her. Um, but just being funny isn't really enough to really get some social bonds going. And I think I agree with you that it might be a bit tough for her to kind of fit in with everyone. So yeah, I was debating. I wanted to pick a female just to keep it going, but
The females are strong this season. I'm telling you, it's
they
going to
are.
be it's going
Yeah,
to be interesting. But you get the next pick in any case, so you can clean up
true.
shop now if you want to, because I said you can go any way you want. You can go female or male. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll keep the tradition going. I'll go with Omar.
Omar, okay. Tell us about Omar. Why are you liking Omar? Or
Omar
not
just
like him? Why did you
seems.
pick him? Why did you pick him this low, Jake? Bad on you for picking him this low.
You know, let's see. Let me look at my past guy picks. Daniel, Mike, Zach. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I just like those guys better, and I don't know. I just kind of wanted to be kind of a little different with picking Mike. I might even like Omar a bit more than Mike, honestly. But Omar, I just think he's really interesting. He just seems really
He's an
like
interesting
just
guy.
he's a
He's
very interesting guy, like exotic animal
I can't
veterinarian.
read him, but you see, that's my worry for him, Jake. Like Omar gets out on the island, is he going to be perceived as someone that people are like, I can't put you on a box. Like
Hmm.
you're an unpredictable element in this game. I don't know how you're going to react to certain situations or where you're going to go because he comes across as like hard to read. Like what type of game is he going to play? I didn't get
Yeah.
much from him when I did my research. Like I like the fact that he works with exotic animals. He's a veterinarian, so due to that, he has to adapt to the day to day. He might be working with different types of animals that normal veterinarians wouldn't have to work with. He never knows what's going to happen from day to day. So I don't think even Omar knows the strategy he has coming into this season. So I'm sure he's a big fan because it seems like everybody that is coming on this season are big fans. And let's have a look of who he said he would like to play like. So which pacifiers would you like to play like? I'd like to play like Rob for his strategic prowess. Sari Fields, her sit and wait and strike strategy. Tyson Apostle, his assassin strategic game. Kim Spradling, her social skills were top notch, and then Natalie Anderson for her laser focus. So again, like I said, I think it stays true to the fact that I don't think Omar like you've got one assignment, name one player, and you end up naming five players. Like I don't think Omar knows what he wants to go do out there. Like
Yes. Yes, that is very true. He is a bit hard to read, but at the end of the day, I think he just might be able to get something going with a couple people and be able to create a. I don't know. I just think he's just. It goes back to what we've been saying. I think he just seems like a kind of guy you'd want to work with, and I know that we're saying that he's a bit hard to read, and that might not be too desirable in an ally, but he just seems like a really chill guy, and I think that you can just talk to him. I think he's got a nice mind for the game, and you can talk to him about it, and I like that about him. And he also just seems really cool.
So two comments here from Adrienne. So firstly, she says, "I love Omar's interview saying he hates hands and thinks Aussie is overrated, and saying that many early favorites were gone during Winners of War, which is a very popular fan opinion.
Hmm.
Clearly, a big fan, likes a lot of different things about the game, but again, like I said, I mean, he's a little bit all over the place for me. So I don't know. I think Survivor is not the place to go and find yourself. You need to
Yeah.
know what your strategy is going in. I'm not saying you should you know you should never preempt how you're going to play the game because you've got to be fluid for sure.
Yep.
And maybe it's good that he just likes so many different things. He's a jack of all trade, master of none. But I'm a little bit worried. I just can't put him in a box. But he could be very good. He could be that player that we've slept on because Adrian does say, I'm surprised the Mara is that low. I really like him from the interviews. I could see a strategic side with a little villain to him, which I love the villains, Adrian. I absolutely love the villains. To kind of like a Dr. Mike character, which, I like Dr. Mike. So, I mean, if that happens, I can see a little bit of resemblance maybe between them. That would be good. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Hans. I haven't seen Russell Hans's cast reaction video, but I saw that he did one not that long ago. I would have loved to have seen Russell's reaction to Omar saying he doesn't like Russell Hans, because I bet you it wouldn't have been a very positive one.
That would I want to go back and watch that now.
I'm gonna go watch it just for that. Like, I'm hoping he
Yeah.
did watch that. You know,
Yeah,
I just want to see.
I'll just skip to that part.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, like, I think Russell deserves a spot in the legends. Like, he's a legend. Like, he's changed the game. Like, but Russell does take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
And that would have been funny to watch.
I mean, I
all
don't
right.
really see. Yeah.
Sorry, you
was
wanted to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't see how Russell can't be on the list of legends. I think it's just
Oh,
kind
he
of an
has to be.
it's just an
People.
objective thing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't
Yeah.
like him, but I mean, the guy has definitely
Yeah.
had an impact in the game. Like, you can't deny it.
Yeah.
If you like him or dislike him for who he is as a person, or how people think he is as a person, because I think it's very hard to. Yeah, I guess he does a lot of talking. So a lot of people have seen a lot more of him after the show than what we would see of a lot of other people. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, definitely deserves a spot there. But anyways, let's have a look at the last couple of players left here for this season. We have got left on the board currently, I believe it's Maria. We've got Jackson. We've got Jonathan left on the board, and I'm going to have to go for one. And I did not come into this one thinking I was going to pick this person, because I really think this person is being set up to fail this season. But I will do it. I will take a stab in the dark. I am going to go with Jonathan for my next pick of the season. And Jonathan, to me, you know, 29-year-old guy, company owner. He comes across as the alpha male. Sorry to say, Jonathan, you're probably a really nice guy, but you kind of come across a little bit like you might be the douchey guy, you know, this season, which I'm hoping you're not going to be. You some of your interview questions, it did seem like you were a little bit full of yourself. And if that comes across on the island, that could be very bad for you. I don't know how socially aware you are, and how that could come across on the island, but you're going to stand out, man. Like, you're a beast. There's no one else out there. They have not done you any favors. They haven't casted at least one physical alpha guy out there. And I don't know how you're going to do with other people, but this is the end game now. I'm taking a stab, and I'm hoping that somewhere an unlikely friendship will blossom, like we had Cowboy, Beast Mode Cowboy, Caleb, and Ty become friends, and nobody saw that coming going into that season. Anything is possible in this game, and sometimes opposites attract, and people will work with people that they would never get along with. Think back to season 1, Rudy and Richard Hatch. No one saw that coming. And, you know, that's the thing about Survivor. It's a beautiful game. You know, anything can happen. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to take a stab in the dark here in this spot. But I am very worried, because I don't think he fits the bill of what new school Survivor values in a winner at this point. So I'm a bit worried here. So I'm taking a stab at the dark. Jake, what did you think of Jonathan?
Jonathan, I just can't really take him too seriously. And I say that in the nicest way possible. This is something that I noticed about him. Someone mentioned it on Reddit right when Redmond released the cast, that he was on Endurance when he was 14. I don't know do you know Endurance, Chris?
Yeah, so I'm a big The Challenge fan, and
Yeah.
Janae, who won the last Challenge All-Star season, she was an Endurance season winner as well. So I think when I was a kid, I saw some of it, but I didn't follow it closely. It wasn't one of those shows that made its way to South Africa growing up.
Yeah, so I just think that's really funny, and it kind of it's just like kind of ironic that like Endurance is all about the challenges. And I think he's just focusing too much on the challenges. That's like all he cares about. It's all he. I don't think when I went through his interviews that he talked at all about the strategy, like a single time. It was all about, yeah, I want to break the record for most immunity challenges, one, or like, yeah, I won the world record for most pull-ups with 100 pounds on my back. It's like,
I don't want people to know that, because that's going to be a bit of threat on me, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, well, that's all you are thinking about. It's like, he hasn't even clicked in his head. Like, there's a bit more to this, Jonathan, than winning the challenges. So I also he's he's just funny. I don't know. I think he's a bit. I just don't think he's really going to be taken.
He could be a character. He could be a
I think he
character.
will. I think he will be. There's one. He said it like 2 or 3 times in these interviews. He keeps saying, I can't even say it without laughing. It's like, I don't want to change diapers out there. I want to change the game. And I'm like, what is that phrasing of that? It's just like, what does that mean? Like, are you babysitting? Like, what are you talking about? But he, yeah, I don't have much
What
faith
is
in him.
and
Yeah,
did they say what type of company owner he was? Like
a
beach
beach
service.
rental,
Yeah,
beach
beach owner.
services.
Because that was the one thing that stood out for me. The guy's a company owner. He's a boss in his day to day life. It means that he's got
Hmm.
a lot of confidence. He's used to taking on risk because business owners take on a lot of risk on a daily basis. And again, you need to be able to communicate with a lot of different people. You got to communicate with suppliers. You got to communicate with
Hmm.
clients. You know, there could be like some people that become owners of companies. You just don't get along with them because to be a very successful company owner and build an empire, you've got to be an unreasonable person to have that type of success. But I think as a small business owner, sometimes you get more likable people who understand that they can't just be completely douchey to people out there to get to the top, you know.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what type of a business owner he is and how that potentially translates into his game, and if that's something that he could use. But yes, I am worried about the fact that he's so focused, so hyper focused on the challenges, not
Yeah.
so much the social game out there. But for me, one of the big issues I have with Survivor casting at the moment, and last season, by the way, the casting wasn't the issue, the twists were the issue. And
Hmm.
now that me and Jake finally get to talk about Survivor, because I couldn't talk about Survivor US on the previous channel because I was only focusing on international, I can start diving into a lot of these topics. But I think that, you know, a big thing that for me is an issue these days is that we just get too many game bots. Too many people
Hmm.
that are like massive
Yep.
fans. Like I do want a balance between people who understand the social game and the strategy and some who don't, because that creates fun TV. You know, like if everybody is game bots, then we get sequester and it's all about strategy, which
Yep.
some people may like, but I think that it doesn't translate really well to the wider audience and to the casuals or people who like more characters on their show. So I'm okay with that. I'm hoping he brings something to it, but the guy's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Like, I mean, everybody's
Hmm.
going to look at him because, like I said, they did not do him any favors coming into this thing. Okay, so I think I've got the second last pick here, and then I'm going to ultimately leave you with the last one here on the board.
Yep.
Um, it's a tough one between the two. I can see obviously there are the last two picks here for us left in the game. I can see pros and cons to both of them, but I think I'm going to close it off with Jackson. I'll put him in my team. Obviously, Jackson mentioned, you know, he's gone through a big change in his life, transitioning as well, and that has given him a certain resilience in life, which I can't even begin to imagine what it would feel like to go through something like that in life, and
Yeah.
that, you know, that's had a massive I guess, influence in how he sees life and how he communicates with people. I am worried about him because he wants to play an honorable game, but then also he says he wants to make a big blind side. Is he going to be this guy that just wants to make a blind side for the sake of making a blind side? Or is it going to
Yeah.
be, you know, is he preempting it? Or is it going to be something that he can do? But one of the things that really stands out to me is a healthcare worker. So as a healthcare worker, you do need to have a lot of empathy. You do need to get along with people really well. And you have to care for them to be able to work with them. So I think those things potentially could help him in the game. But I'm a bit worried for Jackson. I'm not going to lie. It's why I'm picking him this low. I don't know where he's going to fit in this game, but then again, maybe he'll do well. Originally, I had him just to get above Jonathan, and I kind of changed it now because I was going to pick both of them in any case. It doesn't really matter. But, you know, I'm a little bit worried for him. What do you think of Jackson?
I, I like Jackson, but it's like everything everything that he said in the interviews, I kind of scratch my head at a bit, and he kind of confuses me a bit with what he wants to be. He wants to be honest, but also, yeah, he wants to like run the game as well, which I don't think those two can really coincide. And he's got a lot of things going for him.
Mm,
He's, like you said, a healthcare worker. He started and runs his own company. He is extremely hardworking. He does weightlifting, so he's really in shape. Which, by the way, he looks really, really good for 48. I don't think he looks that well or looks that old. Sorry, not that
yeah.
well. And yeah, I think he's just gonna be a bit too passive, and I think people are just gonna see him as like, oh yeah, the likable kind of guy that's just kind of there, you know, and that worries me a bit. But as a person, I think he seems like a just genuinely great person, and I really commend him for what he has gone through. Like you said, I can't imagine going
Yeah.
through that. That takes a lot of resilience and just yeah, it's just really admirable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting. Adrian brings up here that he said that CC is one of his favorite players. I did my reaction video earlier today, and I had a reaction to that, which will drop tomorrow. So you guys should go check that out because I was surprised by that. And then also another player that he mentions that he wants to play the game like is Elaine. From which was it, Island of the Idols. So
Yep.
yeah, so it's interesting that some of the players that he gives loves to isn't necessarily the OG legends or the people that you would necessarily think he would really enjoy. So he's a bit of a mystery. I mean, that's why we're picking him this late in the game here. And there's not too much that I think we can add to that. You've got the last person here left on your side, which is going to be Marianne, I guess, that's going to come over. What do you have on her? What do you think of Marianne? How do you think she'll be? Nearly put her in elimination before she even plays the game. How do you think she'll be doing?
um, I don't really know. I for some reason she just doesn't really stand out too much to me. I just think that that's the main reason why she dropped this low, and I think everyone else just kind of stands out as like, ooh, yeah, they'll. I think they'll be good. Like Chanel, Jenny, High. Let's see who else.
Sorry, it's
Drea.
not Marianne, it's Maria, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I just I don't know. Like these kind of older-ish moms, they're very hit or miss. You know, or I guess I should say they're usually miss. And
Mm,
like we saw with Heather last season, I mean we've heard conflicting things. Ricard says she could have had a chance of winning, but I don't know if I buy that. And she made it far in the game, but she didn't ultimately win. Julie made it to the end, was pretty much just disregarded in that final tribal. And I don't know, it's hard to when we're doing a draft and we're supposed to pick the players that we think are going to do the best when we're picking someone whose archetype generally just does not do
I
very
agree.
well. So it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of spelled it out. All the concerns I have. She's going to be so she's definitely going to be the mom out there.
Yeah.
She is a stay-at-home mom as well, so she'll fall into that role and probably allow for people to put her in that bracket while she's out there.
Yeah.
Um, she wants to be a mix between Angelina and Tony. I want to see that. I really want to see her be
Yeah.
a mix between Angelina and Tony because I like I know a lot of people are not that high on Angelina. I think Angelina is amazing TV. I
Yeah.
love Tony, obviously. So if she could be a mix between the two, I'd love to see that. But like you said, the archetype she falls into, they either go far and don't get respected at the end, like a Chrissy, or they don't go far at all and they don't make it deep in the game at all. So it's very hard to place her here this season. I hope I'm completely wrong. And me and you, we've completely shaded a whole tribe here today. We've shaded Taku because we're very low on Taku as a whole. We've got
We are a bit low on
Amar,
that now.
Marianne, Maria, Lindsay. I think Lindsay we were probably the highest on in that tribe.
Highest on which
Jonathan
yeah.
and Jackson, and we didn't have too many good things to say about a lot of the people in that tribe. Like not, and again, just putting it out there, we don't know them as people. We've seen snippets so far of a video before they go out there and play, and a lot of the times the videos don't really mean much. Like I've seen so many times where people get so invested in the preseason that when the actual game play, they're really disappointed that their favorites are not doing well because this is just preseason content right now. But those are the final ones there. That's the final teams. And sorry for the faces being cut off of a few of the players. I'm going to sort that out when we go into the next one. Myself and Jake will be talking about the show here weekly, where we will be eliminating players. And then ultimately, I think, Jake, we should have a little friendly wager going on about who's going to win and have the most players go into the merge. That'll be the one point to be interesting to see who gets the most players at the merge. And then secondly, ultimately, who's going to win here? The bragging rights for the very first draft that we've had for Survivor US, I think is going to be very interesting and very fun to have a look at. I feel very confident about my team, Jake. How do you feel about yours?
I feel confident too. So we'll see. I think this season is going to be unpredictable. I think that's kind of the theme with three tribe seasons. Is it can get a little bit messy at the beginning, where like if one tribe loses a couple, you lose players that probably would have done better, a lot better if it were two tribes and they could have kind of blended in a bit more.
I love Taj. So glad, and again, I reacted
Yes.
to that on the video that's going to come out tomorrow. My reaction to some of the videos. I love when they brought up Taj. Taj has been shaded so far in Survivor and haven't been brought back yet. Dylan Faree also just jumped in here on the live. Dylan, welcome. Always good to have you here. I hope you go back and watch a few of our cast assessments here that we've gone through today and why we've picked certain players at certain spots. But as we get into the end here of this specific podcast, I want to thank everybody that's watched this video and that have gotten this far into it. To hear two fans talk about, a lot of things that we hypothesize on, and we've got our own theories in regards to who's going to do well, but we don't know anything. We're not spoiled. We don't know where things are going to end up this season, and I hope that you guys will join us in the journey as we do our very first ever recap every episode. We'll try and keep it tight, 40 to 45 minutes, and unless there's a lot to talk about, we'll there's no real limit. We're not on a network here, so we can talk for as long as we want, but we'll try and keep it tight to the most important things each episode. And I hope you guys come back and you have fun, and hit subscribe, hit a like button on this video, give us support. I'm so grateful for everybody that has helped us get to 223 subscribers. When we hit 500 subscribers, I will be giving away an Australian Survivor merge buff for last season. Now, to give you an idea for those that are in the US and that have never seen Australian Survivor, that same buff was selling for $750 on eBay because it's so rare. It's not available to the public in general. So whenever these buffs become available, they're worth a lot of money. So, and it's going to be fully still with the tags on. I've never used or worn it or anything like that. It's a brand new Australian Survivor merge buff for last season, and that's going to become available when we hit 500 subs. I'll have a competition running for that. I'm really excited to give it away. Jake, it's been great talking to you, man. I think that we should do one more podcast before the season starts. Maybe even next week we do like a little mini one talking about what we think will happen this season and what we're looking forward to. And based off what we've seen on season 41, I'm really having my fingers crossed that this is going to be a good season, because 41, it had its moments, but overall I think it fell flat a little bit.
I agree. I think it would kind of it was very up and down for me. One episode in particular, I think it was like episode 3 or 4, one of the worst episodes I've ever seen of Survivor. Just so many advantages, so much. Like, I know it's been beaten to death by fans, but it's just too much. We're kind of losing the essence. But then the very next episode, it's like, whoa, personalities suddenly exist now, and the editors decide to focus on that. It's like, what the heck is happening? Then the episode where Shan gets voted out, amazing. And that cast, they had great cast, but it just seemed like it had so many things working against it. And in spite
of it,
thoughts.
Keep those thoughts for next week. I think we should talk about this next week in a mini podcast. Let's talk about what worked well in 41, what didn't work well, and what we hope to see in 42. But as we close off here, again, guys, thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week to talk about, we'll do a little bit of a pre-season discussion on what we'd like to see on season 42. And as always, you'll see me and Jake back next week to talk about Australian Survivor. We will be joined by a former player, Gerald, from last season. He's going to be on the podcast same time that we did the interview with Way this week, to talk about next week of Australian Survivor, which has been really, really good to watch as well. Thanks, guys, as always, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.